Hello and welcome to another video lecture. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss about nucleotides. Nucleotides are basic building blocks of nucleic acid molecules. As you know, there are two types of nucleic acid molecules, RNA and DNA. RNA is a single-stranded nucleic acid molecule and it acts as a genetic material in some viruses. In addition of that, we are having some enzymatic activity or catalytic activity associated with the RNA molecules. And as you know, the RNA molecules showing this catalytic activity are called as the ribozymes. But in case of the DNA, there is no enzymatic activity associated with it. But this DNA molecule is a double-stranded, most common genetic material found in almost all organisms. At the basic level, both these nucleic acid molecules are composed of nucleotides. That is, nucleotides are the basic building blocks of these nucleic acid molecules. In this lecture, we will discuss various structural elements present in these nucleotides, and we will also discuss some functions as well as some properties of these nucleotides. Besides acting as the basic building block of nucleic acids, these nucleotides, when present in the cytoplasm, perform various functions. And accordingly, we have different functions associated with different nucleotide molecules. For example, these nucleotides in some cases can act as the components of these coenzymes. As you know, these coenzymes are these organic molecules associated with the enzymes, and these are very essential for the activity of these enzymes. And the nucleotide molecules which are acting as a component of these coenzymes are these NAD and FAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide or flavin adenine dinucleotide. These are nucleotide molecules, and these nucleotide molecules are essential components of these coenzymes. Another important function which these nucleotides can perform is that they can act as the second messenger molecules. Second messenger, as you know, these second messenger molecules transfer the message from the plasma membrane towards the inside of the cell. As you know, if we are having this hormone or any signaling molecule as the first messenger, this first message from this first messenger will be received by the receptor present on the plasma membrane. And from this plasma membrane, the signal moves inside the cell through the second messenger molecules. And these second messenger molecules can either be this calcium ion, and in some cases, we are having this cyclic AMP, cyclic adenosine monophosphate. This cyclic AMP can act as a second messenger molecule. That is, it is involved in the signal transduction, transfer of signal from the plasma membrane towards the interior of the cell. This interior of the cell can either be the nucleus or inside the cytoplasm. So these nucleotides are involved in the signal transduction. So this nucleotide cyclic AMP acts as the second messengers in the cell signaling. In addition of these two functions, we are having another function associated with these nucleotide molecules is that these nucleotide molecules are energy currency of the cell. In cellular metabolism, all energy transactions occur through these nucleotide molecules, and most common energy transaction molecules are these ATP molecules, and less commonly used is another nucleotide molecule that is called as this GTP. So these two molecules, and most commonly this ATP molecule, acts as the main energy currency in cellular metabolism. So these are the functions associated with the nucleotide molecules, in addition of acting as the basic building blocks of the nucleic acids. That is, when these nucleotides are not present in the nucleic acid as a building block, when they are present in the cytoplasm, they perform these functions. First, they act as the coenzyme. They act as the components of this coenzyme. This NAD and FAD is the example, and they can act also as the second messenger. That is, in the cell signaling, these are very important. They play a very important role in the cell signaling. They act as the second messenger molecules. That, for example, the cyclic AMP. Besides that, they are the main energy currency in the cellular metabolism. So these are the functions in addition of the acting as this basic building blocks of the nucleic acids. Now let us try to understand these nucleotides as the basic building blocks of the nucleic acids, and what are the various structural elements which are present in a single nucleotide molecule. Each nucleotide molecule is having three components. One component present in the nucleotide molecule is phosphate. Another component is pentose sugar, and third important component is nitrogen base. That is, in a single nucleotide molecule we have three components. One is this phosphate component, then we are having this pentose sugar and this nitrogen base. This nitrogen base and pentose sugar is called as nucleoside. This portion of the nucleotide, nitrogen base and pentose sugar, is called as the nucleoside. And if you attach this phosphate group to this nucleoside, then it will be the nucleotide. That you can say that nucleotide is equal to nucleoside plus phosphate group. Here you can write as nucleotide is equal to phosphate plus nucleoside. So attach phosphate group to the nucleoside, you will be having nucleotide. These are the basic structural components. These are the basic structural components of the nucleotide. We are having this phosphate group, pentose sugar and nitrogen base. It is important to remember that we are having only one phosphate group attached to the nucleotide when it is present in the nucleic acid. That is, you can say this nucleotide present in the nucleic acid is a monophosphate. Nucleotides having two phosphate groups or three phosphate groups are present in the cytoplasm. If the nucleotide is present in the nucleic acid, then it is having only one phosphate group. You must remember that during DNA replication, nucleotides get interlinked with this phosphodiester bond. This incoming nucleotide at that time is having three phosphate groups, and during the formation of this phosphodiester bond, two phosphate groups get released during this process, and the nucleotide, once it gets attached, when it gets incorporated in the nucleic acid, is having only one phosphate group. Second thing is that this phosphate group is having these negative charge. When present in the nucleic acid, it is carrying only one negative charge, as this oxygen is getting involved in the phosphodiester bond. So the negative charge of the DNA molecule is because of the negative charge present in this phosphate group. That is, this phosphate group gives the negative charge to the DNA molecule. This nucleotide is having only one phosphate group when it is present in the nucleic acid. This nucleotide, when present in the cytoplasm in the free form, can have either one, or it can have two or three phosphate groups attached with it. So here in this case we are having only one phosphate group. And second thing is that it gives the negative charge, overall negative charge to the DNA molecule, and it also imparts the acidic nature to the DNA molecule. So this component is the phosphate. Another component of this nucleotide is this pentose sugar. This pentose sugar within this nucleotide is in the furanose form. As you know that this pentose sugar, when present in mixture, can be either present in aldehydic open chain form and in this furanose form. That is, these two forms are continuously interconverting each other, and these two structures are in equilibrium. This pentose sugar, when present in the mixture, are having two structures, open structure and this ring structure, in equilibrium, and this structure is called as the beta furanose form. But this is in the mixture outside this nucleic acid. But when present in the nucleic acid, this pentose sugar is always present in this ring structure. It is not present in this open chain form. So we can say that pentose sugar present in this nucleotide is always present in this furanose form. Another important point is the numbering of the carbon atoms present in this pentose sugar. While numbering, we add prime to the number of the carbon atoms. That is, first carbon present in this beta furanose or pentose sugar is denoted as 1 prime, and this is the second prime, third prime, 4 prime and 5 prime. This is the numbering of the carbon atoms. That is, they are different from the open chain numbering. Oh, in open chain numbering, we are simply having this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 simple numerals. But in case of this pentose sugar, we add this prime while numbering this carbon atoms. And this addition of prime is to distinguish these carbon atoms from the numbered atoms present in this nitrogen base. Okay, so first thing you have to remember that this pentose sugar present in the nucleic acid is always present in this ring structure, and when this pentose sugar is in the solution, they can be present in these open chain and furanose form. These two forms of these pentose sugar are in equilibrium, but when it is present within the nucleic acid, it is always present in this ring structure, that is this in the beta furanose form. And so far as the numbering of the carbon is present in this ring are concerned, we add this prime to this number of the carbon atom. The addition of this prime is to distinguish it from the numbered atoms present in this nitrogen base. Another point is that at this second carbon, that is 2 prime carbon, we have either this H hydrogen atom or we are having this hydroxyl group present on this second prime carbon. We are having two different types of this component. Either it is the deoxyribose or it is the ribose, and this difference is because of this either hydrogen or hydroxyl group. If it is hydrogen group present on this second prime carbon, then it is the deoxyribose, that is, it is deficient of the oxygen. And if it is this hydroxyl group, then it is called as the ribose. Or you can say simply that if the oxygen molecule is present along with this hydrogen at this second prime carbon, then it is called as the ribose. And if there is no oxygen along with this hydrogen at the second prime carbon, then it is called as the deoxyribose. So this deoxyribose is present in the DNA molecule, and this ribose sugar is present in the RNA molecule. And the distinction of this RNA and DNA is basically on the kind of this pentose sugar present in DNA and RNA molecules, besides having different nitrogen bases. Now you can say at the center of this nucleotide molecule we are having this pentose sugar, and on one side we are having this nitrogen base, and on other side we are having this phosphate group. This nitrogen base and this phosphate group is linked by two different covalent bonds to this pentose sugar. This phosphate group is attached to the sugar at the 5th carbon, 5 prime carbon, through phosphoester linkage. That is, this is the phosphoester bond. Okay, and here we are having this N-beta glycosidic bond, N-beta glycosyl bond. Through first prime carbon, this pentose sugar is attached with the nitrogen base through this beta glycosyl bond, and through this phosphoester bond at the 5 prime carbon, this pentose sugar is attached with the phosphate group. You can say that at the first carbon this pentose sugar is attached with the nitrogen base, and at the 5th carbon it is attached with the phosphate group, and this phosphate group is attached with this sugar through the phosphoester bond, and this nitrogen base is attached with the first carbon through the glycosyl bond. That is, we are having 3 components attached with each other through different bonds. One is the phosphoester bond and another is the glycosyl bond. So these components are this is the phosphate group and this is the pentose sugar. Now here we have this nitrogen base attached with the first carbon of this pentose sugar. So far as the nitrogen bases are concerned, we are having 5 most common nitrogen bases present in the nucleotide, and these 5 nitrogen bases are basically are of 2 types. One is called as the pyrimidine and second type is called as the purines. Pyrimidines and these purines. We are having 3 nitrogen bases as pyrimidines and 2 purines. 2 nitrogen bases as the purine. In purines we have adenine and we have guanine. So we are having 2 nitrogen bases, adenine and guanine, called as the purines, and these 2 nitrogen bases are present both in RNA as well as in DNA. So far as the numbering of the elements present in these rings are concerned, we are having this is the number 1, then we are having second number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and same will be here first, then we are having this second, third, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Here you can write another name of this adenine as 6-amino-purine and this guanine as 2-amino-6-oxopurine, that is 2-amino-6-oxopurine. It will help you to remember the structure of this these nitrogen bases. If you remember these names, 6-amino-purine of this adenine, because we are having this amino group at the 6th position, and this 2-amino-6-oxopurine, we are having this amino group at this second position, and we are having this ketone group at the 6th position. So these are alternative names. It will help you to remember the structure of these nitrogen bases. So these adenine and guanine, as I said, these are the purines, and these purines are present both in RNA as well as in the DNA molecule. But so far as the pyrimidines are concerned, we are having 3 nitrogen bases, and in these 3 nitrogen bases we are having thymine and uracil. Thymine is present only in a DNA molecule and uracil is present only in the RNA molecule, but cytosine is present both in RNA as well as in a DNA molecule. So these 3 nitrogen bases are pyrimidines, and among these 3 nitrogen bases, as I said, this uracil nitrogen base is present only in RNA molecules, and this thymine is present exclusively in DNA molecules, and this cytosine is present both in RNA as well as the DNA molecule. Now you can say that among these 5 nitrogen bases, 3 nitrogen bases are present both in DNA as well as in RNA molecule. This guanine, adenine and cytosine, these are present both in RNA as well as in DNA molecules. Here I can write it as this is both in RNA molecule and DNA molecule. Here this nitrogen base is also present both in RNA as well as in DNA molecule, and this nitrogen base is also present both in RNA as well as in DNA molecule. But this thymine is exclusively present in DNA molecule, and this uracil is present only in RNA molecule. In exceptional cases, this thymine can also be present in the RNA, but they are very rare cases. But mostly this thymine is present only in the DNA molecule, and this uracil is present only in the RNA molecule. And these three nitrogen bases are present both in RNA as well as in the DNA molecule. So far as the numbering of these elements is present in this nitrogen base is concerned, the numbering is like this. We have first, then we have this second, here we have this third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Same applies to all. Here you can write the other name of this cytosine as it is 2-oxo-6-amino pyrimidine, and this thymine is 2,4-dioxo-5-methyl-pyrimidine, and this uracil is 2,4-dioxo-pyrimidine. These are the 5 nitrogen bases present in the nucleotide molecule. Here another important point is that this first carbon will form the glycosyl bond with the first nitrogen of these pyrimidines. As here you have this first nitrogen, here also this. That is, pyrimidines will form the glycosyl bond through the first nitrogen atoms of these nitrogen bases. But in case of these purines, this 9th nitrogen will form the glycosyl bond. That is, purines get linked with this pentose sugar through the nitrogen atom present at the 9th position. But pyrimidines get linked to this pentose sugar at the first carbon atom of this pentose sugar through the nitrogen atom present at the first position. Another important point is that because of these nitrogen bases, nucleic acid molecules show strong absorbance at 260 nanometer in the ultraviolet range. Because of these nitrogen bases, these nucleic acid molecules are having strong absorbance at this 260 nanometer wavelength, and this characteristic has been used in various quantitative analysis of these nucleic acid molecules. And here you are having this phosphate group which gives negative charge and acidic nature to these nucleic acids or DNA molecules, and here you are having these nitrogen bases which are giving us this characteristic to nucleic acid molecules, that they are having this strong absorbance in the ultraviolet range at this 260 nanometer. At this wavelength, these nucleic acids show peaks in this absorbance, and this absorbance at this 260 nanometer has been used in various quantitative analysis of these nucleic acid molecules. So this is the structural components of the nucleotides. We have this phosphate group which is common. Then we are having this pentose sugar, and this pentose sugar is of two types. Either it can be the deoxyribose or it can be the ribose. If it is deoxyribose, then it is present in the DNA, then it is the DNA molecule. And if it is the ribose, then it is the RNA nucleic acid molecule. And then we are having these different nitrogen bases which are attached at this first prime carbon, either through the first nitrogen or through the nitrogen placed at the 9th position. Now you can name this nucleotide depending upon whether it is the deoxyribose sugar and depending upon which among these bases are attached to this first prime carbon. For example, if here it is the deoxyribose and we are having this adenine nitrogen base attached at this first carbon, then we can name it as deoxyribose adenosine 5' monophosphate. And if it is this guanine, then you can name it as deoxyribose guanosine 5' monophosphate. And similarly, you can have different names for these nucleotide molecules, and you should remember that these nucleotides are the basic structural elements present in this nucleic acids, and these nucleic acids are using these nucleotides as the basic alphabets so far as the storage of this genetic information or biological information is concerned.